There's two ways we can generate X-rays. Okay, those electrons basically come into contact with our tungsten anode, have a high kinetic energy, and what can happen to those electrons? So if this is a little electron coming in from our cathode, okay, high speed, comes in like this. If it gets close enough to the nucleus, it'll have to actually be closer than I've drawn it there. What happens is nucleus is positive, electron's negative, it gets attracted, and that can change its direction, but also slow it down as it comes into contact. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, so if the electron is slowed down, that energy has to go somewhere. And in fact, anytime electrons are accelerated, speeded up, slowed down, change direction, we tend to get a photon produced. And in this case, if it's slowed down enough, we can get an X-ray photon produced. Okay, so I would learn off those phrases at the top of these. One method is the rapid deceleration of the electrons after passing the nucleus. Do note, this is not these electrons here that are in the atoms. They're not really doing anything in this case. We have our electron beam, which is created from this cathode, cathode here, accelerated, and it hits into the tungsten atoms. We're talking about the electrons in this blue beam here. That is now drawn in black here. Okay, so the electrons come in like this from our beam, hit into the atom, slowed down by the nucleus, generate an X-ray. However, that's only one of the ways that can happen. Another way that we can generate our X-rays is if our electron comes from up here, and what it can do is it can hit into another electron in an inner shell. It would have to be in this case. That might deflect our electron. So our original electron that we impacted into the tungsten anode with gets deflected. But what that can do is it can remove an electron from the inner shell. Okay, so by doing this, we actually knock one of the electrons. I'll draw it in a different color, but I mean all the electrons are the same. It can eject an electron from one of the inner shells. I mean, it can do it from any of the shells, but it only will generate an X-ray if it does it from one of the inner shells. Now we have a problem because atoms like to be in the ground state. They like to have the lowest energy level, and we now have a gap, a space available really in that inner shell. So what can happen is then one of the electrons from an outer shell can drop straight down and replace it. Okay, so this electron here, whoops, went a bit too far there, will drop down. Okay, won't be in this outer shell anymore, will drop down, and in doing so, if an electron drops from a raised energy level down to a lower one, it will emit a photon. Because the difference between the outer ones and the inner shell are so big, the energy difference between them, the amount of energy in the photon will be large, and therefore will be an X-ray.